4 points on the line for the winner of this second varsity 8 heat, 21 for second, 18 for third, and so on with increments of 3. Once we get to the varsity 8, we'll be at increments of 4, so 32 points for the winner, 28 for second, 24 for third, so on down the lineup. Just running you through the lineups for this second varsity 8 grand final. We'll start with Cornell rowing out of lane number 1. Cornell's second varsity is coxswained by Alexa Marciano, a freshman. Senior Grace Tucker is the stroke. Freshman Morgan Macy is in seat 7. Sophomore Sheehan Gotch in seat 6. Freshman Victoria Castellano Wood in seat 5. Then it's sophomore Georgia Seahas, junior Sophia Clark, freshman Jacqueline Schroyer, and senior Kelly Webb. After Cornell in lane 2, it'll be the University of Pennsylvania. They've had an outstanding performance so far, a second place medal in the V4C and a fourth place finish in the V4A. It's second varsity. The coxswain is senior Zoe Binder. The stroke is freshman Holly Patrico, junior Natasha Wood in seat 7. Seat 6 is sophomore Ellie Harnett. Seat 5, sophomore Tess Laparda. Seat 4, sophomore Louise Tansky. Sophomore Abigail Sheets in seat 3. Seat 2 belongs to senior Anna Sparrow, and seat 1 belongs to Sarah Klippel, a junior. In lane 3, it's Brown. They'll be right next to Yale, the two teams up at the top of the standings so far. Brown will send out a 2V lineup that looks like this. Coxswain is a sophomore Stacy Newell. The stroke is a senior Aaliyah Shaffy. Junior Camille Kissaberth is in seat 7. Claire Penning, a sophomore, in seat 6. Senior Mike Tiersma in seat 5. Sophomore Kanae Tiersma in seat 4. Ruby Moore Bloom, a senior, in seat 3. Sophomore Amy Tarchinsky in seat 2. The bow is Gina Fram. Then it's Yale, undefeated so far this season. It's second varsity 8, which adds even a little bit more pressure for the Bulldogs in this Ivy League battle. The coxswain is Jessica Michaels, a junior. The stroke is senior Lydia Keating. Sky Ritchie is in seat 7. Meg Galloway, a junior, in seat 6. Freshman Margaret Saunders in seat 5. Sophomore Arwen Neski in seat 4. Senior Olivia McLean in seat 3. Victoire Lanou, a sophomore from Paris, France, in seat 2. The bow is Sophie Deans. Then it's the Tigers of Princeton, ranked number 2 regionally. Their second varsity 8, coxswain by Kate Elfers. The stroke is senior Catherine Babiak. They're joined by junior Rachel Reed, sophomore Lauren Bernard, sophomore Sadie McGurr, sophomore Hannah Painter, junior Erica Swarta, junior Melissa Curtis, and senior Diana Kennelly. Rounding out the field, rowing in lane number 6, Harvard Radcliffe. Second varsity coxswain by Stacy Newell. The stroke is Aliyah Shafi. Camille Kisserbeth is in seat 7. Seat 6, Claire Benning, a sophomore. Seat 5. Excuse me, that was the lineup for Brown. The Radcliffe lineup here at second varsity. Helen Eisenkock is the coxswain, a senior. Grace Eisenbach, a freshman, is the stroke. Sophomore Erica Holmes is in seat 7. Freshman Desi Goodwin in seat 6. Senior Emily Gaudani in seat 5. Junior Heidi Naka in seat 4. Senior Kelsey Barilak for Harvard Radcliffe is in seat 3. Senior Bella Benduski in seat 2. And Tori Bastow is in the bow for the black and white of Harvard Radcliffe. They are all lined up and ready to go, and this race will be intense. We've talked about the depth of talent in the Ivy League, so you have a lot of rowers in these second varsity boats on Ivy League crews with top boat talent that likely would be in the top boats at a lot of programs all throughout the Ivy League and all throughout the nation as well. There's just so much talent, it's hard to find only 8 to put in your first varsity group.
Well, as they say with any championship crew, there simply aren't enough seats in the boat for all of the people that it takes to create a champion. And that is on display with some of these deeper rowing programs. We've seen that Yale has come in here with a number of the lower boats seated as the top seed, while Princeton enters with the number 1 seed in the varsity 8. So there's a lot of talent on the water here. We've already mentioned how the Ivy League is the deepest of the Eastern crew leagues. There are some very fast crews, to be sure, in other leagues, but for overall depth, the Ivy League really is what the East Coast has to offer.
Now that Yale group undefeated so far this season at the second varsity 8 level, of course a point of pride. Do you feel like that adds any extra pressure to Yale coming into this race?
Hard to say. I suspect that most of these crews, we've seen a lot of performances that were based off of crews just staying within their own boat, you know, getting behind early but still able to stay on plan and really race hard. I think that to get where they are, and as as an undefeated
Yep.
crew, that Yale probably has the capacity to stay within themselves and to stay focused on their task.
And of course, if you're an optimist, sure, even if there's a little more pressure, that also comes with a whole boatload of confidence knowing that you've beaten everybody who's been out in front of you throughout the course of the season.
There is one thing for certain. They will go all the way to this finish
Yes.
line before they concede that someone might be able to beat them.
Yep.
And that's a little bit harder to do if you're one of the crews who's lost to them during the year.
Race is just underway. As you can see at the top of your picture, the crew's pounding out those first few strokes. And so far today, especially in the 8 boats, the start has been a decisive factor. Teams who've been able to get out in front in this tailwind have stayed there. Furthest right on your picture will be in this grand final at second varsity 8, Cornell. Furthest left, Harvard. Second from the right is Penn. Brown is third from the right. Yale is third from the left. Princeton second from the left. And Harvard Radcliffe all the way out furthest left on your screen.
Well, there's not going to be a lot in it in this race in the early going. I think every crew understands the need to get out into this race early.
Mentioned the undefeated season for Yale, and a lot of the credit, according to Coach Will Porter, goes to his senior in this stroke seat, Lydia Keating. He talked about the great career the senior from Brookline, Massachusetts has had, culminating, at least in terms of her Ivy League rowing today, as she tries to keep the undefeated season going. Of course, Yale will expect to be rowing in a couple of weeks at the NCAA championship, so for the Yale seniors, likely one more race ahead for them.
Looks like Yale, Brown, and Princeton are up near the top of the pack. That's not unexpected.
Yale in the middle of those 3 teams. Princeton second from the left on your screen. You can see the orange and black oars. Brown on the right side of your screen. They're just to the right of Yale in lane 3. They sit in third. Looks like Yale in first, Princeton just behind, then Brown. Then it drops back a bit to Penn, Harvard, Radcliffe, and Cornell in 6. Looks like Harvard, Radcliffe currently in 4th place, and Penn currently in 5th.
Yale at 37 strokes a minute.
24 points goes to the winner of this race. 21 to second, 18 to third, 15 for 4th.
Princeton matching Yale's rating there also. 37 strokes a minute.
And of course, you expect to see an even higher number from the Bears of Brown, always a high-stroking crew. They're right in the thick of those 3 teams in the front.
Bruno at 39, as you mentioned, Bill. They like the higher rating. It's just a little bit different style, a little bit different emphasis, but it suits them well. They have had an extraordinary regatta today, and this race alone will determine go a long way toward determining what kind of finish they have.
Yeah, Brown so far has gold medals in the 3rd varsity 8, the V4C. Yale has gold medals in the V4B and the V4A. The other 6 schools looking to open their gold medal register with a race in this 2nd varsity 8. A win here for anyone other than Yale or Brown would shake the picture up even more in terms of the team race, because it could jolt one of those other crews that's just behind, like a Princeton or a Harvard Radcliffe, right up into the mix, heading toward that varsity 8 race where we'll crown the Ivy League champion. Still looks like Yale in first. They have not lost this season at 2nd varsity. Princeton and Brown battling for 2nd and 3rd. Harvard Radcliffe up in 4th. Then it's the University of Pennsylvania in 5th and Cornell in 6th.
You know, though it's a long way off, I would give that to probably Pennsylvania in 4th. $35.
Still out in front, it's Yale. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, the 3 leading crews blistered through that first 500 meters in 1 minute and 33 seconds.
Wow.
That is fast under any circumstances, but not unexpected when you get this kind of competition lined up. And, you know, it's still a blanket over the top 3. Brown perhaps in the lead over Yale. Yale and Princeton very close to one another. There's not much in it, not enough in it that you could say that anybody should feel comfortable about getting to the finish line first.
Yeah, very close between those top three crews, Brown, Princeton, and Yale. It's Brown on the right side of your screen, then Yale, then Princeton. Outside of Princeton, you see Harvard Radcliffe, who's currently in 4th place, and looks like they have gained a little bit of ground on 5th place Penn and back to 6th place Cornell. There's Princeton making a bit of a move. They've picked up their stroke rate just a bit, and they're gaining ground on that left side of your picture.
Once again, Brown, with their late season surge, they're rolling at 41 strokes a minute.
Wow.
They are on the move.
But Yale can feel that push. Do the Bulldogs have anything left to keep their undefeated season at 2V alive? They have fallen back. It looks to 3rd right now.
It looks at this point, Brown charging forward. They had a great heat. This is not that surprising looking at the way they've been peaking.
Princeton sprinting hard as well, but Brown in 1st.
Brown pulling away from Princeton, Princeton over Yale, Yale over Penn, Pennsylvania 3/4 of a length up on Harvard, and Cornell trails.
Only about 40 meters to go. Few more strokes for Bruno. Princeton's close by. Brown has the lead by about 3 seats. Sprinting for home at 2nd varsity. A 3rd gold medal today for Brown. The Bears take the 2nd varsity race. 2nd place for Princeton. For the first time all year, Yale comes across the line in 3rd. Penn 4th. Harvard Radcliffe in 5th. And Cornell will take it home in 6th. What a blistering pace for the Bears of Brown. Boy, that looked just tremendous for Brown. Bears were flying at the end, held off a hard-charging Princeton crew, and they'll move into 1st place in the team standings.